as is the case with celebrity portrait photography, you never know what you're going to get. You can have all these assumptions, and in both of these shoots, they were confounded.
Thank you for that introduction, Dad.
Yeah, dramatic.
Okay, so let's go on to your 2002 shoot to begin with.
Okay, so the first shoot, Liam, was quite full of trepidation. I thought that he would be a pain in the arse. He had this fearsome reputation. And I arrived at his PR company, who were doing the PR, called Hall or Nothing. So I turned up, and I found a very sweet man, a beautiful man. You know, he had lovely hair, he was groomed. He put some thought into what he was going to wear for the shoot. I think it was double denim. And I remember I sat him down, and it was in the days when I had a little portfolio, and I showed him my portfolio, and I explained to him that he was an important cultural figure. And so it was important for me and my oeuvre, my body of work, that he was part of that. That if I didn't photograph him, there would be a Liam Gallagher shaped hole in my portfolio. And I think he got into it, and he was an absolute sweetheart. So I guess you can tell who was the pain in the ass. Yeah, he was he was very sensitive, and he was very cool, and it was a joy to photograph him. It was very quick. I used available light. I was shooting on medium format cameras back then, so I used a big rangefinder, Fuji, and my Hasselblad. I just took him outside against the wall, and there was a little bit of end of afternoon daylight, directional light. Golden hour. It wasn't quite golden hour, but it was nice light. You could use it. And he had these sort of shades where, he was kind of otherworldly. I wouldn't say it was a kind of, it was a, I wouldn't say it was a careful scrutinizing of who he is as a person. It was just another piece in the jigsaw puzzle that consists of his brand as a kind of rock star, as the ultimate frontman.
Mm. And who was it shot for?
That was shot for the Observer.
And how much did you get?
Probably the same as I would get now. Inflation has sort of made very little difference to what I get. Probably about £275,
It's crazy.
which wasn't bad back then, but not so great now.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Maybe 250 back then.
For how long though? Like an hour?
Yeah, that's the good thing, is it didn't take long to do these
So
shoots.
it's a good hourly rate, but
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you were much busier back then, so it's not too...
Absolutely. Well, we'll flash up the diary. So that week, I had lots of other people in the diary. So we'll flash up the diary, and you'll be able to see there are other jobs that
And there's just not as many jobs now.
No, absolutely not.
No.
Well, there isn't, because printed media is in terminal decline, as I keep saying.
Bless your latest motto.
Yeah.
So do you have anything else you remember from the shoot? Anything he spoke to you about?
No, I just remember that he was much more gentle, and he's very beautiful, and very easy to photograph.
That's a easy day's work.
Yeah, I mean, we were going to do an interview. We are going to do an interview with Jill Furmanowski. So maybe we can contrast how she found it photographing the great man.
Yeah.
But yeah, much easier than I thought. And I can't say that I did have one of the landscape pictures was in my portfolio for a while.
Oh, nice.
And
How come it's not anymore? What?
I think probably because actually, funnily enough, I probably would put the pictures of Noel in my portfolio now.
Okay, well,
Even though at the time I didn't really like them, because he wasn't really giving me much.
Stained by the day, and cue the dramatic music.
So 2005, it was, as far as I can make out, according to Oasis fans, a sort of, a gig that a lot of people pretended that they went to. It was like one of those really iconic gigs. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the comments below will contradict this, because I was never really an Oasis fan. I mean, I think if you were being uncharitable, you might say that they were kind of like a Costco Beatles. But no, I mean, I photographed Sir Paul McCartney, who the work is very derivative of the Beatles,
Well,
and
yeah.
you know,
We're gonna have some Oasis fans click on.
yeah. I mean, I did enjoy the gig. So it was at Milton Keynes Bowl,
Okay.
and what it seemed like there was about 200,000 people there. I mean, probably there wasn't that many, but it was a riotous afternoon, and
So you went to the gig?
I went to the gig.
They give you tickets?
Yeah, they had tickets. I didn't just get tickets. I got a jacket with Oasis on.
So we'll come on to that. So it was for.
That was for Word magazine,
Okay.
which no longer exists, which was part of Metro
You would have got a
Publishing.
similar rate to the Observer 2
Yeah,
years earlier.
yeah, but it was for the cover,
Okay.
and it made a good cover. It looks good. I mean, I didn't like the shoot at the time. I basically, fair enough. Noel, my opportunity to photograph Noel occurred in the minutes before he was about to go on stage, so it can't have been easy to concentrate on being photographed. And so I don't think it was his favorite thing to do. I think it was badly scheduled, and as a result, the pictures he looks quite curmudgeonly, and he's going along with it, but he's not really giving me. I mean, at the time, I felt he wasn't really giving me what I wanted. But now, looking at the pictures 20 years later, I think they're better than the Liam pictures, because actually and also he's an extraordinary looking guy, those eyebrows. But I had him in this little porter cabin, and it was quite nerve wracking, where people were driving around in golf buggies, and I could hear the crowd, and I got my little moment, but it was kind of probably the worst time to photograph somebody, because it's so stressful if you're about to go on stage and you're kind of, trying to get into that frame of mind that you're
that zone,
yeah, absolutely, like Robbie Williams says, let me entertain you, it doesn't happen, the magic needs to be kind of handled carefully, and carefully coaxed like a snake coming out of a basket into getting into that right frame of mind. You can't just get up off the sofa and then walk out on stage. You've got to kind of get into that right frame of mind, and he was in that right frame of mind. He wasn't in the frame of mind to have some poncy photographer sort of move your head this way, move your head that way.
Who decided that? Why was that the time slot you got?
I don't know.
It seems insane.
I think it's just the likelihood. I think it was felt that after the gig, it would be pandemonium, quite rightly. They would be getting into maybe a Learjet or something like that. They would just disappear, and they would be hyped up as well, and it would be tricky.
But
And so,
you could make some really good photos.
yeah, absolutely. I
The
mean, it would be,
adrenaline after performing in that
it's all about access. And if I'd had some amazing access, yeah, I mean, after the shoot would have been great. If I'd kind of been like Anton Corbijn with U2, a kind of almost like an honorary member of the band, and they give me a lot of access, like
for you.
that was what it wasn't like that for me, because I wasn't I didn't have that in. But whereas Jill Fermanowski, she had that with them, so they gave her a lot of access. It's all about access.
So you got loads of stuff given to you.
Yeah.
So who gave you this stuff? He gave you this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably his PR, trying to curry favor, I mean, they didn't have to kind of, I wanted to get some good pictures. I didn't need to be encouraged. I shot him in the porter cabin, again, all medium format. The interesting thing about it, we'll get back to the merchandise, but the interesting thing about it is that it was in that transition between digital, moving to digital. And so I just bought a Canon 1DS Mark II, and I used that just to test the lighting. I was too frightened to let it usurp my film cameras, which I were trusted and I knew I could get good results from. And so I took 9 frames with the digital camera. And in fact, I comped them together into a contact sheet, and we're going to be doing a print drop of that, aren't we?
Yeah. Wait, so this is a contact sheet of digital images?
Yeah, the 9 frames that I took, and they work really well together.
Okay, that sounds good.
So we'll flash those up on screen. A3 plus, so it'll look great in a frame and so on. And they've never been published anywhere. So I shot black and white, I shot color, I shot outside the porter cabin, and I shot inside against a white backdrop that I set up. And I think they wanted, for the cover, they wanted a sort of Bailey-esque kind of simple graphic portrait, which is what we accomplished. And then I walked home happy, and I was laden down with merchandise, which I, to my shame, I sort of never wore. Not really my cup of tea, sartorially, and they ended up on eBay. I got got £35 for the jacket. And then the guy in my feedback, the guy said, "Fantastic merchandise. Have you got any more?" And I said, "No, just the one jacket."
So you finished the photos and then you got to see the gig after.
Yeah, I was sort of I got my jacket. I finished the photos. I sort of stored my jacket with my camera equipment. I think I probably got my assistant to look after it, and then we sort of just found a little area of grass. We were fairly near the front of the. It was a huge bowl, the auditorium, and we watched the gig and just watched all these kind of guys in the mosh pit sort of fighting each other and people drinking, and it was quite a full-on gig. I mean, they are brilliant live. There's no question about that. Liam's amazing. So, it was
So Liam's your favorite.
Liam's definitely my favorite. I think he's a genuine frontman, and I think they're both great, but Liam, it's difficult to imagine he's not copying. I mean, you could say he's not copying anyone else. I mean, I photographed. We should do a video about it. Ian Brown of the Stone Roses. Yeah. And Liam does owe a slight debt to Ian Brown, and we should do a video about Ian Brown because that's a really nice shoot too. So we'll flash a picture of my Ian Brown and we can compare the two.
Cool. And yeah, so the pictures you weren't happy with at the time didn't touch your portfolio, and now your favorites.
Yeah, absolutely. I do really like the pictures of Noel.
Yeah, that almost makes photographing disgruntled celebrities easier because they show more emotion.
If the celebrity is known for being kind of curmudgeonly and surly and having a kind of little regard for conventional notions of politeness and everything, then it feeds into that. It's all part of the myth. Yeah. And as an object, this is peak Noel as well. This is sort of, he's no longer a boy. I mean, he was a man when they became famous, but this is Oasis at the height of their powers. When they are a proper stadium band, which they are now. But I mean, they're going to become probably like the Rolling Stones eventually. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I would go and see them again. I mean, it was a great experience. But I mean, I must confess that I did leave a little bit early because I knew that traffic was going to be bad on the M1. And I wanted to get back to see you. So you would have been about 3 at that point.
It's a lovely place to end, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, one more thing. Have you made any more money through syndication?
Well, actually, it's a really good case in point because when I was scanning the pictures of Noel for this particular video, I realized that I should have been making money through syndication. And a French magazine contacted me and asked us, they ran my picture of Jarvis Cocker and they sent me a copy of the magazine. And they were asking about whether I photograph Oasis, and the pictures have never been available. So none of my pictures of Noel have really been available. I mean, 3 frames, but none of the really good black and white shots, which are the best pictures. So, wow. I mean, even
makes you wonder how many amazing pictures haven't even been published by some of these great names.
Well, quite often being a successful photographer isn't just about having talent and tenacity. It's also about being organized, having a bureaucracy, having a sort of a database, having the presence of mind to make a note of the circumstances of each shoot, and appreciating that when you're taking pictures, you're recording history.